What's up? This is Lord Tomahawk D. I make metal theme songs for fictional characters. Today we're making a theme for the Warhammer 40k character Konrad Curze, aka Night Haunter, aka Primarch of the 8th Legion, the Night Lords. Like his brothers, Curze is a 9-foot-tall super being in the shape of a person gifted with tremendous powers both mundane and esoteric by their father, the Emperor of Mankind. After a short trip in the warp as an infant, he landed on the cold and shadowy world of Nostromo, where he racked up the following feats: digging through several layers of adamantine ore to reach the surface, learning the local language by stalking and eating the brain matter of the local population, gaining a hyper-specific version of morality where everything from theft to food to overcharging customers was punishable by death. Over the course of a few years, brought the crime rate to effectively zero and declared himself ruler of the planet, provided a TV for every residence, and required every citizen to watch his public executions and torture sessions. Night Hunter is often considered to be the edgelord of the Primarchs, but I think that title will be more accurate for his brother Martarian. Curze was just trying to do his best given his loner upbringing, crime-ridden world, and crippling visions of the future where everyone he's ever known dies. To match his paranoid personality, rigid morality, and incredibly violent behavior, we will be making a song in the style of the band Oceano, who themselves dive into conspiracy theories and torture porn quite regularly. I'm also going to throw a little bit of influence from The Faceless, another aggressive band with a penchant for paranoia. Alright, now that the scripted part of our video is done, let's dive into the actual song here. The intro riff here is pretty simple. So this is just, it starts with one guitar, then the other guitar joins, and it's kind of just like a fast riff kind of thing. So kind of basic, and then I take that and I raise it by a fourth. And then it goes right back down. Then after that, it goes into sort of like a verse riff, which is just kind of just two basic chords and then some chugs. It's like nothing really too special. But this is like the sort of meat and potatoes of the song. This is the Oceano part. Basically, or I guess any deathcore band, this is kind of what they did. They took the flat 5 chord, the flat 5 dyad, and then they put it as low as possible on their guitar, and then they just palm mute it and let that play whatever rhythm they want to do. So yeah, I'm not really doing anything too crazy there. Layered on top of that, I have this guitar part here. It's really just kind of supposed to be a bunch of noise, but it's also supposed to be very dissonant when compared to the rest of the band, to give it like that more spooky kind of menacing, something stalking you feeling that I want to kind of convey with Konrad Curze. See, I wanted it to sound sort of like someone couldn't really play guitar. I wanted it to sound like it was a demented kind of twisted mind behind that sound. Basically, there's nothing special about the bass guitar here. I'm using kind of like a low, cleanish, farty kind of tone. It's like not really, I wouldn't call it a good tone. I wouldn't use this tone for anything other than deathcore. But here's the bass guitar on the intro. And then on the bass guitar for the verse. So yeah, it's not really that great of a tone, but it works with the guitars. I'll just play like the guitar riff with the bass right here. So here's that verse riff again, but with the bass. So I mean, like, it really needs the bass, but I want that bass to be the very, very bottom of the sort of soundscape. I want the guitars to take up a whole lot of room there, and I want the drums to also take a whole lot of room there. Speaking of the drums, this is a lot more complicated than my Angron song as far as the drum patterns go. So I'm gonna bring up the drum map here so we can look at it a little bit closer. Beginning is like a cymbal choke pattern that goes into some other cymbal work and then kind of fills into the rest of the song. So it goes like this. So a lot of kicks, a lot of carpet rolls in there. This snare pattern thing is it's like it's just obviously it's just some 16th note snares, but you want to manipulate the velocity so that it doesn't sound like a robot doing it. So we got it sounding like this instead. When it could potentially sound pretty bad if we just had it all like, you know, all like this. So just, yeah, that, as opposed to this. So you want to have a little bit more humanization in there. That's a word that people like to use when it comes to making MIDI packs. I'm doing the same thing with the cymbal down here, adding some ghost notes between. So I'm not sure if you can really hear that, but let me try to solo just the cymbal part. So you can just barely hear those notes in between, and like I said, we call those ghost notes. And you want to have those peppered around to taste. I do them a lot in the rhythms coming up later, but right here, this is just an example where you want to manipulate your velocities here with the snare and then here with that Chinese cymbal. So moving on, we have our rhythm pattern, which, as you can tell, it's snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, 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 snare. Like, it sounds complicated, but it's basically like a D beat. At the end of the phrase, we're doing the double kick with the Chinese cymbals, and then we do basically the same repeating rhythm, but we have some more ghost notes on the Chinese cymbals. So let's glue. Yeah. So that's the verse rhythm basically, which is this is just double kicks. So there's this thing that goes with the chugs. That's kind of just a hammer blast. But I'm using it as a fill. And once again, we're changing the velocity on those snare hits to give it a little bit more color. The meat and potatoes of this rhythm here is this snare with a lot of ghost notes in the snare, and then the kicks. Instead of the kicks being what sort of drives the melody, not drives melody. Instead of the kicks being what drives the rhythm, the kicks are following the guitars and bass. And then the snare, it's setting the rhythm with the accented notes, but it's not always on beat. So I'll just let you have a listen to that here. So that's kind of the basic idea. Anytime the guitars and bass are chugging on specific notes, I want the kicks to match those notes. And we do a blast beat towards the end of the song where everything is, instead of have it how it's happening at the beginning of towards the beginning and the middle of the song where the kicks always lined up with the guitars, now we're just going to have the kicks just do double kick patterns regardless of what the other instruments are playing, just to add some sort of sonic variance to the song and make it feel like an ending even though we're not really doing anything differently. Kicks follow the drums. We're gonna let them do their own separate things here, and then that's gonna carry us through to the end of the song.
A few moments later.